This is Aleyda Solis, and this is SEO in 2024.
Aleyda, what's your number one SEO tip for 2024?
In 2024, I highly recommend that we should, if you haven't yet, to start leveraging AI for you SEO day-to-day tasks within your workflow in a smart way, in a way that you take care of the quality, but that you use it to accelerate the task that you actually need to do in a way that makes sense and you can control for the quality.
Okay, so accelerate the tasks, accelerate the workflows. So what are examples of SEO workflows that can be enhanced with AI?
Yeah, so this is interesting because there are actually now tools like SEO crawlers, the Horseman SEO crawler that integrates with the OpenAI API to literally provide you already suggestions and recommendations of the issues that it finds when crawling your website. So, for example, if it identifies that you have titles, some descriptions issues because they're empty or they're duplicated, etc., or too long, you can already get suggestions to make them shorter or to populate them with descriptive information, etc., etc. So I can see how you can develop your SEO recommendations much faster by supporting yourself in it. There are also many integrations within Google Sheets with extensions that literally don't need any understanding of coding or scripting or anything. One of my favorites is numeros.ai, and you can do stuff in bulk. So one of the main challenges that I find with ChatGPT is the interface, right? But for example, if you have crawled your website and you have, for example, like a number of pages with their content in the first two columns of your Google Sheet, and you want to generate titles, descriptions, headings, Q&As, FAQs in bulk, yeah, you can do it so by using these extensions that integrate with OpenAI. So you don't need to go back and forth with the interface of ChatGPT if you don't want to. That is a hassle, right? In any case, ChatGPT also has a browsing they have extensions like the browsing extensions like keymate.ai. The quality of the results are much better. It won't hallucinate so much as it used to be or as it used to do. The Substat SEO tool also has an extension there to provide accurate keyword data, for example, if you want to integrate and use it for keyword data. The same with the browser pilot. And of course, like other type of activities, like even doing forecast based on your historical data in Google Search Console, performance data. If you want to forecast, for example, I would use the advanced data analysis mode and take into consideration the latest fluctuations or certain average positions, scenarios, etc. So it can really facilitate and give you the support that a data analyst could provide you, right?
Okay, so many different data options there, great opportunities using AI to speed up the process to actually find issues. Is AI at the stage, or would you ever use AI anytime soon for getting it to actually implement the issues that it's discovered? Or would you always use a human to check what it's discovered first of all before implementing the recommendations?
Well, I believe that it can highly support us in the analysis and evaluation process, that for sure. However, in order to provide the recommendations that are actually impactful and make sense from a business standpoint because of the goals of the website and the business itself, it's important to have a proper understanding of a lot within the website context that goes beyond of the technicalities of what can be identified in an SEO audit, right? And for example, putting into context of certain product lines that have certain type of goals or that needs to be prioritized, or certain challenges or restrictions in the web platform, etc., etc. So there are a lot of restrictions, requirements, and external conditions that you need to take into account to prioritize your SEO recommendations accordingly so they can be actually meaningful for the organization, right? More than that, is then to make the recommendations actually happen, their execution, right? And most of the time, the execution is done by developers, actual developers from the website. So, of course, if it is a small website, usually you try to do it with your own small platform, or, for example, with WordPress or with plugins or self-serve, right? You lack of that development support. I can definitely see how AI can also support you or help you, for example, to implement changes in htaccess or to develop a little script that you can use to generate automatically an XML sitemap with only indexable pages of certain sections of your website, these type of things. However, that is a small organization in your own website, right? In your own projects. However, in proper bigger organizations, there's a development team that know their stuff, that are actually specialized on executing or on coding based on the existing tech stack, right? And although you might want to recommend a few scenarios or suggest possible solutions, they are the ones that ultimately will make what actually makes sense from the tech environment of each website, right? And it's important to understand our boundaries as SEOs too here. What it is important here, though, is that what actually makes sense in that scenario is to have the best possible soft skills, let's say, to have a really good communication, to eliminate the burden of any bureaucracy at these bigger organizations. And I'm talking about enterprise level organizations that are the ones that I tend to consult for, which is the scenario that usually generates more challenges for implementation. At that level, it's not a knowledge problem necessarily, but an execution problem because of lack of buy-in, because of lack of alignment between departments, because of bureaucracy and how slow everything is. So I can actually recommend that you might want to use AI to come up with solutions or support the communication that you may want to see levels in if you have a challenge to speak more businessy type of language and less technical italities.
So how can AI help with how can AI help with getting more buy-ins? Because you say there's issues with getting lack of buy-ins, but you also talk about the human side of things and the importance of understanding people and what individuals need.
So it's not about replacing, but about supporting it. So, for example, in my case, especially because English is not my native language, it is a little bit more challenging for me to come up with a very sophisticated way to say certain things in English. And sometimes I ask ChatGPT about how will you say this to a C-level in a big organization in a way that sounds a little bit more sophisticated, or in a how can I explain this in a way that is much more straightforward and clearer and simpler for a non-technical person. So it's not that it's going to replace your job, because it won't, but it can help you to facilitate communication and understanding in case there is a gap in that, right? But yes, most of the challenges here at that point, let's say, are human challenges, and I don't think that AI will be able to completely replace any of those at any time soon. There is no AI that I believe that will be able to better push development, the development team, than I can with my own soft skills. Sorry.
Okay, I'm sure Aleyda's standing on the dev team shoulders and going, okay, when are you going to make more changes? Is the way for the changes to get done. But if you don't have Aleyda on your team, maybe you can use AI to help fight your case or better articulate what you're trying to change and why it's going to impact the dev team.
Indeed, 100%. The same, for example, when doing outreach, right? Like, because we were speaking about different scenarios than the usual ones that we see around about content generation, which is the typical one. But for example, if you do outreach, it can serve as a tool to accelerate the research of the people that you want to connect with. So for example, if if you want to build links or get coverage for a website that is about remote work, you can accelerate the process by give me the bio or summarize me a little bit of what these people who have written these articles have written about in the last couple of years. Give me the 3 top articles that have covered this particular topic. So, or please create an email that I can send to this person, trying to get this person to link to my resource in this or that way by appealing to their remote work interest, things like that, right? So again, for me, who I not necessarily like, sometimes, for example, what I like is that first step template base to build on. That is amazing, right? And I know that many people out there might be similar, right? Like we need this a little bit of like initial help or base to start building upon. Of course, I don't recommend to automate again. I don't recommend to completely automate, but it's important to accelerate that initial phase, right? To have that input.
Yeah, absolutely. It can help you, but if it raises everyone to the same level, then obviously you're going, okay, how can I differentiate myself? How can I demonstrate that I really am a human to the person receiving my emails?
100%, 100%. I mean, there should be always a human at validating, personalizing, showing actually that how I can definitely provide a proof that this is not an automated type of email, which is something that I always ask myself whenever I receive one, right? And sometimes it's even just a little image or a little reference to a previous post in LinkedIn that I have made, or in Twitter, or in X.
But as you say, bots can replicate that. Bots can read that. So is there something that you can recommend that only humans can do?
Yeah, with a comment, potentially a photo, but I will say not even a photo or video. We saw just before the video going around of someone talking in another language. So, question, honestly, what is real right now? I actually was speaking in French. Je peux parler en français, comme tu peux voir. Il y avait des personnes qui faisaient des questions en disant que je ne peux parler pas en français, que c'était de l'intelligence artificielle. There were people in my video, with me speaking French, questioning if it was me really speaking French or if it was artificial intelligence. So, what is real? What is not? I will leave you with that question. Goodbye. Tell me.
But what's going to be real and what is not in 3 years' time? How is this going to impact the role of SEOs in 3 years' time? Are we still going to need SEOs?
Very looking forward to see. Yeah, that will be exciting. I don't even dare to say anything. I'm very looking forward to see. It will be exciting.
Okay, but you don't have any doubt that you'll still be involved in SEO. There still will be humans required in SEO in 3 years' time.
Hopefully, or not, or if not, maybe my AI version. Who knows? It will be trained by me, so there will be something from me there.
If an SEO is struggling for time, what should they stop doing right now so they can spend more time doing what you suggest in 2024?
Oh, they should read SEO FOMO, my newsletter. Go and read SEO FOMO. The best way to accelerate your SEO knowledge and to keep up with whatever is happening and what is actually worthy, the updates that you should actually pay attention to, and the latest developments that you should take attention.
Okay, that's what they should do, but what should they stop doing?
What they should stop doing? Being too scared. What will happen will happen anyway. That type of, is SGE going to steal all the clicks? Have you analyzed your click-through rate lately? Have you seen the traffic erosion that is already happening since a long, long, long time ago because of all of the search features here and Google's verticals and whatever? So this worrying, I believe that doesn't help. We should keep our focus on what we actually have control of and how we can make the most out of the opportunities. At the end of the day, I believe that there will always be this need of being a specialist, of identifying opportunities to match whatever the users are needing versus websites and businesses are offering, right? In search, whatever interface is used. And these were our value comes as a specialist. And yes, there will be likely challenges, but this is why we are SEOs and we are not doing paid search, right? Like SEOs has been always this profession that has been about taking the extra mile of testing out, identifying opportunities when it was not even documented, playing it out and having a lot of curiosity to, getting our results into what is actually visible to users at the end of the day.
And as being an SEO enough of a specialist, i.e., will you have to be just a technical SEO or a creative SEO or an AI specialist SEO in the future?
let's see how a real expertise is actually needed and long-term opportunities that can offer by itself, right? Like, this is interesting because I think that it is aligned with, I see that the prompt engineer type of professions that I see going around and say, oh, there's this big opportunity. That is a big opportunity maybe right now, but in 2 years, every developer, engineer, person looking to interact, I guess, they will need to have this know-how of prompting, right? The same with SEO and AI, right? If the interface will change, etc., that will be just a new layer of understanding, that know-how that we'll need to develop in order to be effective in our jobs. And it might not necessarily be a new specialization, but something that we all will need to start doing, right?
Aleyda Solis is an SEO consultant and founder at Orienti, and you can find her over at aleydasolis.com. Aleyda, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2024.
Happy to collaborate as usual. I'm very looking forward to see what the years brings.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2024, the book, over at seoin2024.com.